Okay, why don't you take it away, John?
I need to send the link to somebody, so why don't you start
Okay.
the introduction?
Okay, so generally, first of all, this is very exciting to have so much engagement with the community tonight. And generally, we go around the room and say our name and what street we live on. We can do that really fast. You have to talk really fast and just say one thing, okay? For instance, my name is Claire. I'm co-chair and I live on Horn Lane. Dan, you're next.
Claire, we have 160 participants. I would move that we skip this introduction.
Okay, I kind of agree with you. Anybody else want to second that?
I see a lot of people are adding it to the chat. That could be a good
I
option.
second it.
Okay, so let's, without objection, let's move on. John?
Okay, give me just a second. Have to pick the right screen.
Hey, John,
Yes, sir.
do you want to have the board introduce themselves? At least that way people know who's.
I
part of
think
it.
that's a great
That's a
idea.
good
Without
idea,
objection,
yeah.
let's do that.
Yeah. So I already introduced myself as co-chair. John over there, who's multitasking, is also the co-chair. And Dan, why don't you go next?
I'm Dan Isaacson, board member. I'm also president of NAMI and the Suicide Prevention Coalition. I'm also Eugene Planning Commissioner.
Okay. Harry?
Yeah, Harry Sanger. I'm a treasurer of the board, and I live over on Rosewood Avenue.
Jan?
I'm Jan Spencer. I live on Benjamin, and I'm involved with the RRCO committee, Green and Resilient Lifestyles. I'll put that info in the chat.
Okay. And Joshua?
Yeah, Joshua Keelis, on the board and live on Fairway.
Hey, Charlesy?
Yes, I'm Charles C. Cartwright. I live on Norman Avenue and I am primarily involved in the Emergency Preparedness Committee.
Okay. Jackie, are you here?
I am. Hi, I'm Jackie Worster. I'm over on Bond Street, and I'm also on the Emergency Preparedness Committee.
Great. Dwight?
Dwight Owens, Board Secretary. I'm also Chair of the Unhoused and Affordable Housing Committee.
Did I get everybody? Nice job. Okay. There you go. Thanks for the suggestion, Daniel.
I'm ready if you're ready to have me
Go.
Yep. Clear.
Yeah, I'm still monitoring, letting people in, so.
Okay, so our charter requires that in order for you to be a voting member of RRCO, you have to have attended a meeting within the past year. When we were meeting in person, we had a sign-in sheet. So we're going to reinstitute what the sign-in sheet would do as part of our process. So thanks to everybody who's entered their name into the chat, but what we need you to do in order to be counted as attending this meeting and be considered as an active member in future meetings, we're asking you to send a personal chat message to Charles C. Cartwright, and you can find her in the participants list.
John,
Yes.
Can you please mute? We're having a lot of irritation.
I need to mute?
No, Dan, everybody needs to mute except for the person talking.
That's a good idea. Thank you. So we ask you to send a personal chat message to Charles C. Cartwright, and she's in the list of participants. You can find that list by clicking on the participants and the up arrow, and well, click on the participants and it will show you a list of all the participants. Charles C. is on there in alphabetical order. So send her a personal message with your name, your physical address, your email address, and your phone number. And do that for everybody who's in here, the meeting tonight. And then we will use that information to maintain a roster on the electronically secured folder that we are maintaining. So again, send a personal message to Charles C. Cartwright by going into the participants list, clicking on Charles C's name and sending her a message. Actually, what you do is you click on her name and then say chat, and you'll send her a personal message. Again, your name, your address, your email address, and your phone number. Hopefully that makes sense, and we'll remind you later in the announcements. So we're going to move to, I'll do the announcements first, and then we'll talk about the agenda and any adjustments. We are asking you to limit your announcements to no more than 2 minutes. I will add a timer to my screen's background and ask you to keep track of your time so we can finish before it turns red. Thank you. So if you want to make an announcement, because there's so many of us, the only way I can see to do that is to raise your hand, and then that will show up on the participants list, and I will call on you in the order that I see.
Jan, John, your video is not on. We don't see you or your background.
I think it is. Oh, no, it isn't. You're right. Okay. I don't see me. This is tough. It's a nice problem to have, but it's a problem. Okay. So I see that Jackie Worster has her hand up. Now let me find myself. Oh, I know how to do this. Okay, you ready, Jackie?
Yep, I'm ready. I'm coming to invite everybody on February 1st to an emergency preparedness. Our next team meeting is going to be a virtual evacuation exercise. We're going to practice as if there was a chlorine gas leak in Northwest Eugene over near the railroads. We're going to talk about the emergency evacuation zones around the city, how to prepare for an event like this, and how we would get in contact with one another in an event like this. I'll post the email details in the chat if anybody wants to contact that email address for the invite. But it's going to be totally virtual through Zoom, and we're excited to start having this conversation. So we invite everybody to join regardless of your past experience. Thank you.
Thank you. Harry, your hand is up. I'm going to restart the timer, and then you can go. Go ahead.
All right. So I just wanted a couple things. Wednesday, January 12th is the Social Justice Committee meeting, and I'd like to reiterate the request that we discuss the segregation and discrimination occurring in our neighborhood due to unscientific mask and vaccination mandates based on widespread misinformation. And as well, next month on Sunday, February 13th, is a citywide food drive to support Food for Lane County. And anyone who is interested, I'll put my email in the chat so you can send me a message. I'll give you more details. We are looking for volunteers to help with that from about 12 to 4 p.m. on Sunday. Thank you.
Thank you, Harry. Are there any other announcements? I don't see any other hands up on the participants list. Oh, Jan.
All right, thanks. Wow, it is like world record number of people on a Zoom meeting. Thanks, everybody. Just want to mention that on February 24th, we're going to have a Zoom meeting about permaculture, green and resilient lifestyles here in River Road. How can we do more of that here in the neighborhood? And if you want to know more, like the Zoom information, send a personal chat to me in the chat box, and that information will also be coming out when RRCO is going to be sending out a snail mail message the beginning of February. That same Zoom information will be on that snail mail newsletter as well. Okay, that's good.
Thank you, sir. Eva Kroner, yeah, I think that's right. Did you have an announcement?
Yeah, I go by Kava.
Sorry.
Well, it's mainly I want to get information on how to pursue something. I did send through Jan Spencer and then to the board here, a request that the River Road Community Organization consider supporting a resolution for renters protections as a way of preventing more homelessness. And the board declined to endorse it. And I just need more information. I wasn't in the room, so to speak. And so I just want an email so I can, it doesn't sound like that's something that at large River Road neighbors are allowed to hear about, but in any case, and I shouldn't say allowed, I don't know the process, but in any case, if there's an email that reaches all of the board members, I can start there.
I did not see it. Eva, if you would send it to Jan again, he can send it to all of us and we will talk about it, I promise you.
All right, and I would personally appreciate being a part of that conversation to be able to answer questions and things like that. So I will happily send it again to Jan.
Thank you very much.
Our official email address is co-chairs@riverroad.
If you could put that in the chat, that would be really helpful for me.
That's
So,
even better. Thank you, Claire.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Betty Grant. Betty, do you have an announcement?
Unmute. No, I don't have an announcement. I have a question. When I think it was John who gave his report on the social justice gathering, he didn't, I missed when and where that was.
I believe that was Harry. Would someone from the Social Justice Committee want to remind us of that meeting?
It was just right before Eva spoke. Whoever spoke.
I understand.
exactly before- Okay.
This
thank
is
you, John.
Brenda. I'm on that team. This is Brenda Wills. I'm on that team. The social justice team meets on January the 12th. And all of that information is in the newsletter. While we're working, I'll go find a link to the newsletter that goes to, that I can put in the chat. Or
Brenda.
Claire may get there first.
Well, actually, the newsletter they have in their inbox isn't going to have it in there. They're not going to get it if they're not already subscribed. So we need to just put it in the chat.
Okay, does that cover that one?
I will do that as we are working.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you,
all.
Brenda.
Thank
You bet,
all.
Betty. Mike Meyer.
Yes, thank you. A couple of announcements, events that go on in the River Road area. One of them is Sundays. We do ecstatic dance, 118 Mary Lane. It's right next to the duck pond on the bike path. And we, every Sunday from 11 to 1 in the COVID era, we're dancing outside and it's a wonderful, healthy and social event. And then we also have River Road concerts from time to time in various locations. So I list my email in the chat if you'd like to sign up for a mailing list for either. Thank you.
Thank you for that announcement and for what you do, Mike. That's the last hand I see up. And Mike, would you drop your hand so we can use it later? But the last announcement is mine, and this is it. Motions passed by the RRCO board at the 12/21 board meeting. It has been our practice to announce previous board actions as an announcement because our charter provides that if anyone wants to discuss a board decision for the purpose of deciding whether to overturn it or not, we make these as announcements. And I will tell you that it's never happened before, but if someone does have a request to discuss one of our decisions, then they should make a motion at this point in time that it be discussed. And if it's seconded, we will vote whether to discuss it or not, and we'll place it on the agenda. So here are the decisions we made at our last board meeting. We agreed to publish and mail a neighborhood newsletter to all River Road addresses for our February newsletter. We are having a Food for Lane County food drive on Sunday, February 13th, which Harry had announced earlier. If you'd like to help us, please put your name in the chat along with the words food drive, and we'll get you to help us out with that. We agreed to hold a future board meeting discussion on whether or not belt lines should be widened. And finally, we agreed to mail a public statement to the 4J School Board, the Eugene City Council, and the Lane County Commission opposing the behaviors of protesters who verbally assaulted parents and children attending the November 30th Howard Elementary School District Vaccination Clinic, especially because it led to the school board's cancellation of all future school site clinics. So at this point, I would ask if anyone wants to discuss any of those decisions. If so, please raise your hand in the chat. And Mike, your hand is still up. Okay, I see no, well, let me look all the way through here. I see no hands raised in the chat, so let's move on to the agenda. The agenda consists of, first of all, celebrating the opening of Iris Place. And Claire will lead that discussion. Then we're going to discuss low frequency noise issues in the neighborhood. Claire again handling that one. And then finally, a request that the neighborhood ask the city of Eugene to assess the impacts of CCNRs on House Bill 2001. I know that's pretty cryptic. Simply, House Bill 2001 institutes middle housing in the city of Eugene on all single family lots, unless your subdivision has codes, covenants, or restrictions that prohibit it. So that's what we're going to talk about. So hopefully if we stay on schedule, we'll be adjourning by 8:05. Claire, you're up first on Iris Place. Claire, you may be muted.
So several years ago, RRCO helped design and imagine this affordable housing project that St. Vincent de Paul got the contract to build, and people are now moving in. And do we have, is Elizabeth, who is it that's speaking on that, John?
Elizabeth Carr has said she would be here. I don't see her in the inbox or the participants list.
Oh, great.
Okay.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Fantastic. So do you want to give the overview and then people can ask questions?
Sure. So resident services is the program that I run in property management. It is the social service side of affordable housing. And so my staff are trained social service professionals. We bring food from Food Filling County every single week, fresh fruit and vegetables and bread, as well as a food pantry for non-perishable goods. We operate a clothing closet. We're starting on site. We also have youth activities. In the time of COVID, it's a lot harder, of course. Most of our youth activities are field trips and in-person crafts. And we have to be really limited right now. So we're doing more like gardening and art kits and things like that. We also do financial education. We connect families with resources in the community to help them when they're struggling. We help them navigate those resources because unfortunately the systems are built very complicated and it's very difficult for people to be able to get through some of those systems themselves. And then we're here to help promote lease compliance, prevent eviction, and help the community of affordable housing fit into a larger community in River Road. So that's our kind of our bigger goals and a little bit of how we achieve them. We also have Mac McDonald on Bennett Lane in Compton. We have Santa Clara Place on Santa Clara Avenue and Ross Lane at Ross and Helen Street. So we've got about four properties now just in that Santa Clara area. So if you have any questions about any of our sites, whether that's in Santa Clara, on River Road or somewhere else in the community, I'm definitely a person to ask. My information I can put in the chat. If you have any questions or concerns, you just feel free to reach out to me anytime.
So for people who aren't aware, this is the building site that's right next to the Dairy Mart on River Road, and people are starting to move in now. Are we set up to show the video? Elizabeth or John? No.
I have no idea, but what I can do is I can throw that link in chat so that anytime people want to watch that, I know that there's a lot of people. It makes it difficult to do stuff like that during the meeting that's kind of jam-packed full, but the YouTube video, I'll put the link in the chat so everyone can watch.
Okay, it's sort of a sweet little video. They had a tour for some board members and other folks and videotaped it so we can all have the virtual tour. What's really exciting to me is that there's a big community room. And do you want to talk about the emergency preparedness for the community there?
Yeah, so it was built with resiliency standards. So the community building is meant to withstand pretty significant natural disasters. We got backup generators, solar power. It is 2 large community rooms connected by a large kitchen. It also has a small computer room, some staff offices, and then 1 room dedicated for stocking with emergency product. And so that's something that we're going to start to be doing. Probably be reaching out to Jackie and Charlesy to help plan some of that. And it's meant to be a community base for all of River Road in case of an emergency.
And if you drive by, you'll notice that it's got big solar panels on it.
Does anyone have any questions about affordable housing, about the project, about the tenants and the community, anything like that?
Sarah, will you please mute yourself, or Dan mute her for us?
If anything comes up later or something later on in the presentation just kind of starts rolling in your head, I'm going to put my info in chat. Again, feel free to reach out to me anytime. Just let me know who you are, because I meet a lot of people.
Before Elizabeth leaves, I think we were going to have Pat Riley and
Right.
Go ahead. Invite them to speak, Claire.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was trying to get people in. Yes, Pat, you can, and other people on the committee, do you want to unmute and talk about our work there?
Okay. First of all, before I comment, I'd like to thank a couple of people. One is Kristen Carl, who's St. Vincent Housing Development Project Director, and also Michelle Stark, who at that time was her project coordinator, who now works, I think, for the city planning department. And then I'd like to thank Elizabeth for her presentation tonight. I can't thank these folks enough. Iris Place is a result of a public-private partnership between the city of Eugene and St. Vincent de Paul, our local nonprofit. And it's a classic example, I think, of what can be done when public and private agencies work together. More importantly, for our neighborhood, St. Vinny's from the beginning made a concerted effort to keep RRCO involved in the process with outreach meetings, periodic updates, and we were included in every step of the process. And Elizabeth's presentation tonight is a culmination of that work. It was a long project. There were many challenges, but it was St. Vinny's. Somebody commented that the collaborative relationship that they have with RRCO is probably the best example that St. Vinny's has experienced in all the time they've been doing affordable housing. So it was a great experience for me, and I think it's a great addition to the neighborhood.
I just want to respond to that. That feels so amazing to hear. I was involved with another project that came online about 5 years ago, and the reaction from the neighborhood was really unfortunate. And to hear and see such amazing people and all of your warm faces be excited and your hands, it makes me feel so happy that our tenants are going to be taken care of in their community. And I really appreciate all of you.
We distributed a welcome letter to everybody who's moved in so far, telling them about who River Road is. Julie, are you here? Did you want to say anything?
I am. I'm here. Hello and Happy New Year to everyone. It's lovely to see so many people made the commitment for a New Year's resolution. to be more involved with community. Pat and I know we both enjoyed the 3 years that we were working with Kristen and Michelle on the St. Vincent de Paul Iris Place project. It really was a wonderful experience and really raised our hopes for the possibility of collaboration, where different stakeholder groups were able to come together and work collaboratively to come up with some incredibly great creative solutions and ones with sustainability. I hope that more people will watch the video because it shows some of the wonderful features, everything from the rain garden and native plantings all the way through to the sustainability factors of reaching platinum status with Earth Advantage building program. So I think it's a real tribute to our community and to our neighborhood that we were so successful with this project. And I certainly hope, as others do, that this will be a template to move forward in the future with other projects. Thank you.
Thanks, Julie. Gary, I see your hand.
Yeah, I have 2 comments. I like the housing itself, but it was put so close to its north property line that it shades all those houses on the south most of the year. And the second one is at the back of the property, there's a walkway that goes through that had plantings on both sides that for some reason were removed. And I just was curious as to why you would remove that when it's not on your property.
I wasn't involved in that decision. And so I'm unfortunately not able to answer, but what I can do is if you send me your information in chat, I will connect with Kristen Carley, who would be able to answer that question for you.
Okay, thank you.
I know there's a
Mary?
lot of plans for permaculture landscaping going on. Julie?
I wanted to respond briefly to that, and I'm sure that you can get more information from Kristen. But unfortunately, some of the fence lines on all 3 sides of the project were not accurate. And we worked with each and every one of the neighbors in terms of both plantings that were and fence lines. And in fact, St. Vincent de Paul worked with lawyers in order to retain some of the historic fencing, even though it was on their property and did not accurately reflect property lines. So with anything where there's historic property lines and fences are not built according to actual property lines, there's always going to be some give and take that has to go on, but all the neighbors were fully informed about what was going on, and we worked with them very closely. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And Gary, I would add that they put their rain garden on the north side of the property to hopefully create more separation as well. And
I've seen much worse.
well, they really were excellent in working with the neighbors. They agreed not to put any balconies on their outside periphery per our request, and that's pretty amazing.
Yes.
I would like to add another thing because I think that we often kind of blur the lines between public projects and private ones. And with public projects such as this one, there are some extremely stringent rules that they have to follow in terms of minimum density requirements. And that's why there's perhaps there are certain things that were built closer to the road. It is absolutely amazing when you get inside of those because of the state-of-the-art soundproofing that has gone on. So a lot of care and detail has gone into this, and it's interesting to look at what some of those requirements are in order to obtain funding for these kind of public projects. Thank you.
Harry, I see your hand.
Yeah, Elizabeth, I wanted to thank you for the presentation, coming and joining us tonight. And, I really appreciate what you did for the neighborhood here. And with any development, there's going to be some challenges and some things are going to happen better than others. But, I think the place looks great and it's much more impressive than the tragedy with Homes for Good down at Potter's Field. So I appreciate you guys setting out to provide a service and doing so. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yes, there's definitely going to be bumps. And sometimes what I try and warn people about is the honeymoon period. The first couple of weeks, things are usually pretty quiet, and then people get settled, and people that have maybe been homeless for a really long time or have come from really difficult situations, that's when we start to see stuff come up. And so if things are coming up and you're seeing something or you're concerned about a neighbor, reach out to me and I will connect with that person. I'll connect with the staff on site, or I can go over by myself to see what's going on and check in with folks. So please don't hesitate to reach out.
Well, on that, is the committee, is Julie and Pat's committee going to continue to help integrate? I see your hand, Pat. Go ahead, Pat, unmute.
I just had a question for Elizabeth.
Go.
Elizabeth, I understand that there will be a manager on site. Could you talk about that for a bit?
Sure. He comes from one of our other properties. He's been with us quite a while. He lives on site, but he is not 24/7. So he is an on-site manager. So he works during the daytime hours, providing maintenance assistance, working with tenants, working with our social service staff in the community to minimize impact and make sure the property is safe and folks are happy. But he's not 24 hours. So if there's an issue after hours, there is emergency maintenance they can call, and they can always call their social service provider as well. But he works in tandem with social services, which is my team, to come together and support tenants in a wraparound way.
So how would I contact him if I wanted to stop someday and say hi?
So his information should be posted. If it's not, it's because he is still busy setting everything up, but eventually his information will be posted on the door.
Great.
Thank you.
Francis, I see your hand.
There's somebody who's trying to speak and she said that her hand isn't being seen. Jen?
Yeah.
Honeybee? Honeybee or Hornady?
Is that all you wanted, Francis?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for that. Jen and then Jan. Jen, then Jan.
Claire, we are going overtime on this item,
Yeah, well, I've been asking you about that.
and I responded. But let's
Jen?
get back to the meeting.
Jen, did you want to say something? If you did, you'll have to unmute.
There we go. Am I there? Am I in?
Yes.
Okay, good. So sorry, my video's not working. I don't know what's up with it. So yeah, so I live right behind the Iris Place apartments. I was.
We lost you. You're on mute again. Jan, we'll go to you.
Okay. Okay, there you
never-
go. So, so yeah, they were supposed to have all 50 people move in on Thanksgiving weekend, and luckily they didn't see everyone move in. But I have seen quite a few people that are supposed to be off-site to smoke, so they're out my back window in the alleyway there where the it hits Maynard Park. So they kind of walk along there, and then so it's just a suggestion to make sure that they are cleaning up for themselves, so there's not going to be a big pile of cigarette butts out there, and that there are designated areas for them to smoke, because there isn't any smoking in the park or, you know, in my property and stuff. But also a lot of the people are not really cleaning up the dog shit. So there's a lot of dogs coming from that area. So that would be awesome to have that help. And when we do have a manager to be able to contact, that would be really helpful, because I see a lot of stuff, a lot of the hours that they may not know about. And so if I see some suspicious activity or someone that's needing help or something, it'd be nice to be able to step in as neighborhood watch team to be able to continue that link of inviting them to help each other out. Also the parking, there's a neighbor right out there, Teresa and Bob, that said there's some people that have been parking there on a regular basis. It's not really a parking spot.
That may or may not be related to the Iris Place. Thank you, Jen. We're kind of wrapping up. Jan, did you have something to say before we move on? You're good? Okay. We need to move on to the next agenda item. I'm glad that everybody has interest and comments to make. That's great. And we will give you updates in the newsletter. If you don't get the newsletter, please subscribe. and you will get a hard copy newsletter in your hard copy snail mail box in February. So next up is Zip-O-Log, John?
Yes.
Okay. Who here knows what Zip-O-Log is? I guess I shouldn't expect to see all the answers to that question. Real brief, Kaveri, are you here? Do you want to unmute and share what your information about what is Zip-O-Log situation is?
Hi. Well, Zip-O-Log is a laminating company that's, I think it's in between like 6th and 7th Street. They log and create like wood products, but they are a disturbance to the neighborhood, and they start around 4 a.m. in the morning, and they have a really high pitched vibration that's quite disturbing to many people.
Kaveri, can I interrupt for just a second?
Yes.
There are people who are not muted, who we are having trouble hearing Kaveri because you aren't muted. But everyone other than Kaveri, please mute your phone or your computers. Thank you.
And also
Go ahead, please.
Darshani is here, so she can speak to this also. Dharmika, I mean.
Yeah, it's the type of noise that it's not really loud, but it's the like high, it's the like frequency that's like quite disturbing. So I don't know if somebody else wants to speak on it.
Okay, Dharmika, did you want to talk about this? You've been organizing around it.
Oh my goodness. I live in Train Song, so I'm not a voting member. I just came to speak about this, I guess. And it's a low frequency sound. It's been waking some of us up for over a year and a half. And I talked to two people. It's Zip-O-Laminators. It's not Zip-O-Log. They're on First and Seneca at the old Pennington Crossarm building. And they have a planer that sticks out the north side of the building, and it makes this low frequency incessant sound that seems to travel north up the railroad tracks and gets you guys all the way up. I'm about a half a mile away, but some of you guys like 3-4 miles up. So apparently they've been doing so John Redfield and Jason Goldberg were both informed. John just told me he couldn't get on, or he would have been here tonight to talk. But they've been doing a lamination project for the Portland airport, and they apparently had to take on another company's work that couldn't finish it. And there is an end in sight. They're finishing the project in March, and they're supposed to move the darn planer inside by May. But it's been a long, annoying, sleepless couple of years for a lot of us. So that's what I know. The noise ordinance does not cover this kind of sound, and that's a problem. Because they measure the sound, they cut out the low frequency sounds with dBA readings. And so this sound that kind of goes through walls and vibrates us, that only some people are sensitive to, is not accounted for in the noise ordinance. So even if or when hopefully this problem is over, I think the noise ordinances are a problem because they don't take into this account. And some of us have been woken up for years, 2 years now by this.
Thanks, Dharmika. Laura, I see your hand. I just want to fill in a little bit more information that Claire Surratt, who is our city councilor, has been investigating this, and the issue is the ordinances they have to deal with sound, not vibrations. And also John and I met with Jason, who was going to come tonight. He couldn't come tonight. I didn't know that this other person was going to come. We talked to him on the phone this afternoon, and he said that one, they hear our complaints and don't want to be bad neighbors, and they're working on figuring it out. Secondly, he said that it will not end in March. That's just one job, and they have other jobs, although they have different configurations for different jobs. And he was not able to give us any firm dates, but he said he is directing stuff to the management of the organization. Dharmika, you want to speak to that?
Yeah, no, they're actually moving the planer.
Yeah.
The one planer that is outside, that when you go over on the railroad tracks off Seneca, is recording 70, 80 decibels. I mean, it's horrible. And it was there from Pennington Crossarm, but they didn't move it. They didn't use it in the middle of the night. So they are moving the darn planer after this project is over into the building and facing the other direction. And hopefully it will solve it. But the noise ordinance is not, still needs work.
Okay, Laura, we invited Lydia Bishop from the city to come to our meeting, and she's here now. Do you need to speak before her? Can you hold off a little bit? Okay, go ahead. Lydia, if you would like to unmute and say what you have to say from the city about this.
Hi there, everyone. My name is Lydia Bishop. I'm the Building and Permit Services Director at the city. So code compliance is one of the sections that's in that part of the building department. So as many of you, and I think I've had some email correspondence with some of you, we received, when we first received complaints, we went out and did readings based on what the code allows us to do. And they have not been in violation of the noise ordinance in terms of the amount of dBH. And they also don't have any operating hours that apply to them. Commercial, industrial don't have limitations on operating hours, such as construction activity, for instance. So usually when we, find out that there's not a case, we close it down. But in this case, we knew that this was really disturbing to the neighborhood. So the compliance supervisor, Ken Green, spent quite a bit of time talking with Jason. In April of last year, they constructed some noise mitigation measures. I understand they may not be completely addressing people's issues, but they did go ahead and do that. And the conversations that I've had with Jason, he said the same things, that they don't want to be a bad neighbor, that they do want to address the issue to the extent that they can. And he is, my last conversation with him, he said that he was going to be speaking with, his bosses, the owners of Zip-O-Laminator. So that's really all I have in terms of the city's role. We have reached out to them, and they did voluntarily do something to address some of the noise issues that were being created.
Thanks. Will you hang on and see if anybody has questions for you? Okay, Laura?
I don't have any questions specifically for Lydia. I have a few other comments.
Go ahead.
Well, first, I appreciate what Zip-O-Laminator has done. It's certainly better than nothing. I would say if they wanted to be really good neighbors, why didn't they work on getting that planer put inside as soon as they realized that it was waking people up at 4 in the morning or disturbing our mornings? Why are we waiting until 2022 for that? And given that they're saying now that they do have other jobs using this planer, is the planer really going to be moved, at the end of this job? Which, by the way, I guess it's building the beams for the ceiling in the new airport terminal. So if you see photos of that online, it's really beautiful. But I want to see more from them as far as the city and the city council. When I contacted Claire Syrett back in March, first of all, she dug into it more with Lydia and with everybody else, and I appreciated her interest. She did say that she was interested in doing the work to possibly update the code so that it would take into account vibrations. I emailed her at the end of December to see, whether that had started and what would be good touch points for us to kind of be assured that that work's in progress. And she said that she's, going to do that work or wants to do that work, but it hasn't started. So I'm wondering, how can we put some constructive pressure, not just on Claire Siret, but on the city council in general, to get these ordinances changed so that Zip-O-Laminator can't continue to affect the community, and so that other businesses also are not able to.
Okay, thank you, Laura. Jack, and then Jennifer.
Hi, I'm not familiar with the ordinances, so I'm coming at this pretty naive, except for the fact that we're on Sunny Drive, and what happened to disturbing the peace? I mean, if you put that on top of what we're dealing with the trains, not just the noise, but you're talking about, you put a hose to the side of your house and you walk.
You just muted, Jack. Thank you. Jennifer.
Well, what I,
I'm sorry, he wasn't done. Yeah.
That's, like, I appreciate that, the efforts that people are putting out, but like, it seems like it's one thing after another with the trains, and now this, and like, we're all the way over on Sunny, and like, the house feels like it's vibrating on its foundation. I mean, it's just, I'm sure that a lot of other people are here for the same reason, and I might be speaking for some others. Thank you.
Thanks. Jennifer?
Yes, what I find most egregious is that it starts at 4 in the morning. 4 in the morning. So that means every morning at 4 a.m. I wake up. Secondly, you can put earplugs in and it doesn't help a bit.
I know, it's vibration.
That stuff cuts right through. And so I just don't see how this can be something that is legally acceptable. Can't they at least push it back till 8 in the morning, which is at least a time of day when more people naturally wake up? To me, this is something that if the city can't do something about this, I don't know what. I don't understand why nothing can be done about this, because unless they're made to stop, I don't think they will.
Appreciate that. I did mention to him, why don't they start at a reasonable hour? And he's got all kinds of reasons why they can't do that. But just so you know, this whole conversation is being recorded and will be, he was interested in hearing our discussion and our feedback from this meeting tonight. Okay, I see M. Schubert, and then I see Sarah.
Hi. I hear this vibrating noise from 4 till 8:30 in the morning. Sometimes I'm home trying to work. It's very hard to focus. And I can't help but feeling that this is a bit of an equity issue because we're a more modest income neighborhood. I feel like if this were in South Eugene, they would not tolerate it for 5 minutes and action would happen. I confess I don't get the paper every day. I just get it on the weekends, but I haven't seen any public discussion of this. And it's just that frustration of being on this end of town, and that it's almost like, I don't know how to put it. We asked for it because we moved here. I've lived here 30 years. I've grown accustomed to the trains. I can deal with that, but the vibrating is a different thing. And I think the city really needs to move more quickly. It's very frustrating that they're using archaic rules that don't apply to this situation.
Thank you. Okay, so we're a little bit running out of time. If I would like to invite you to put your comments in the chat, and these will be forwarded both to the city and to Zip-O. And we'll report back to you their responses. Sarah is next in queue.
So actually, this is Jeremy Jalabert. I live near Maxwell and Grove, and this has been a terrible, terrible situation. We lived here since 2007. It's created insomnia for me. And it's definitely an equity issue. And because my neighbors are all people that are working class, and renters and homeowners, everybody's just trying to get by during a pandemic. This is terrible. It makes me embarrassed to live in Eugene when we can't just take care of the people around us who just want to get a good night's rest during a pandemic and go to work and feel rested.
Thank you. Kaveri, and then we're gonna move on.
I was just going to note that there is somebody that's created a Google document that's taking disturbances, and I wonder if that could be provided.
Is anybody here the person who manages that document?
I can find out who it is and provide their name to you, Claire. Would that be helpful?
Yeah, we'll put it in the newsletter.
Okay, great.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Do you still, if you still have your hand up and you've already spoken, will you put your hand back down? Because we need to move on now.
Claire, if I may,
Yeah.
could we do a quick straw poll of those who are voting members wish us to write a letter to the city council and to Zip-O to ask them to find a way to resolve this issue? If you have your hand up, lower it, and then if you agree that's something we should do, raise your hand again in the chat.
And who's going to count this?
We're not going to count it. We're just going to get a sense of the body.
Well,
I will tell you that almost every hand, well, that's not true.
yeah, we need it. Dan, can you look at the monitor? We can see just about everybody's hand is up.
That's what I wanted. Thank you.
Okay.
If I might just make one closing comment, I know that you're finishing with this.
Okay, go ahead.
But honestly, the way really to deal with this is through a code amendment, and Claire Surratt has expressed she's interested in doing that. The code amendment could address operating hours, maybe some different types of sounds, though we haven't seen that approach taken anywhere in Oregon. But I think that is the most expeditious way to address the issue.
Okay, so this letter should go to her again, to Claire. Yeah, to the whole
Eugene
council.
Council, yeah, the city council email address I'd recommend.
Okay, very good.
Okay, would everyone lower their hands, please?
All right.
Claire,
Go back to your reactions and take your hand down. Okay.
Claire, I have a question for
Dan,
Lydia.
were you going to say something?
Yeah, I have a question for Lydia. If you don't mind, Lydia, this 4 a.m. thing is a little concerning for me. I just wanted to clarify a question. So if I start blasting my music from inside my apartment complex at 4 o'clock in the morning, the police are going to show up, presumably, and tell me to turn it down. But a business can do the equivalent of the same vibrations, whether it's music or machinery, at 4 o'clock in the morning. And from the city's perspective, that's okay.
Yes, and that's because there is actually a specific section of the code in chapter 4 that deals with that type of a noise disturbance, so the police will respond to it. It is specific to amplified music and animals. So that's another place that the code could be changed to address this kind of noise. But currently, because it says these two things, we can't apply that elsewhere, because it's very specific.
Not to be super technical, but all sound is vibration. So what you determine as Bach or Jerry Brown in your ears is the same as a wood planer going through. It's just a different instrument. Could you not use that argument to say this is music? I mean, whatever you want to do.
Having been a planner for a number of years before I was in this position and dealing with land use questions like that, that would not survive. I do not believe like an appeal from Zip-O for claiming that it's music.
Spitballing here.
It's a creative idea, though. I appreciate that.
Okay, so is anybody else dying to say something? Jan?
Let's make this the last one, Claire.
This is the last one. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, maybe a little direct action, like people could go over there and picket the place.
Or I call them at 4 a.m. and leave a message on their voicemail. But, okay, is there someone who would like to be the champion for this issue and kind of follow through on whatever these suggestions? The board will go ahead and do the letter, but anything else? We will need, if anything is going to happen, we need volunteers to pick it up. So if you want to think about it and get back to us, you can email the co-chairs at riverroadco.org.
Or put your name in the chat and
Or
say,
put your name in the chat.
say
Yeah.
Zip-O next to it.
Yeah. Okay.
So we
Thank
have
you,
one
everybody.
item-
Good discussion. And thank you, Lydia, as well, for showing up.
everyone who
Thanks for having me.
participated. Thank you. This last item is about CC&Rs, and that's not Crosby, Stills, and Nash. That's codes, covenants, and restrictions. This is this is on the agenda because we were asked to talk about it by another neighborhood association. Let me explain what CC&Rs are. They're provisions governing the use of lots when they are created as part of new subdivisions, which is the most common way that lots are defined. So you probably have CC&Rs on your deed that limit potentially what you can and can't do with your property. I know that at one time, the house that I co-owned had a restriction on it that said that it could not be sold to anybody of Japanese extraction. That's a legal document, except that it's also unconstitutional. It was removed. But there are other CC&Rs that are not unconstitutional. They're on many of the properties in Eugene. So those are what CC&Rs are. House Bill 2001 is a bill that was passed by the legislature, I believe, 2 years ago, that requires cities such as Eugene to allow every lot, every residential single-family lot in the city to be allowed to build middle housing. Middle housing is defined as accessory dwelling units, granny flats, duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes, cluster subdivisions, and townhouses. And the city council is working on the code with the planning department and the planning commission to write the code for that. Now, here's why these two things are in conflict. Planning code, city code does not trump legal documents, which is what CC&Rs are. So if you have a CC&R on your lot that says, A, you can't subdivide your lot, or B, you can't have a second dwelling on your lot, or C, that you can't have anything on your lot can't build anything on your housing on your lot that's less than 2,500 square foot, and there are some subdivisions that have that, they can't have middle housing. So as the city council is moving forward to look at this issue, that the neighborhood, South University and others feel that it's important that the city council have information about just where the code will apply. And we don't know that. And there is some discretionary opportunity in House Bill 2001. And they feel that it's important that the council has all the information in front of them before they make a decision about what code to pass. And therefore, they should direct the planning department to map what parts of the city are exempt from House Bill 2001 because of CC&Rs and which are not. So they have asked us as a neighborhood association to join in that request to the city council. And I'm opening up that for discussion and any other information I can have. So let's have a quick discussion and then we can take another straw poll and see of our members. Oh, that reminds me. If you've come into the meeting after we got started, we need to ask you to send a personal message through the chat to Charles C. Cartwright, giving them your name, your physical address, your email address, and your phone number, so we can count you as attending this meeting, and therefore you're eligible to vote in future meetings. So please, if you haven't, send that message to Charles. Okay, back to discussion. Let me see who has their hands up. Teresa Damron or Nathan Spirit.
Just very briefly,
For the attendance, do you need to include your phone number also?
Oh, yes, phone number as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you want to say anything about this issue, Teresa?
No, not at this time. Just that
Okay.
question.
Betty Grant.
Unmute. Yes, sorry, John, I was just a little, thank you, John. I was just a little confused as to, and now I've forgotten it, sorry. Who was the they you said need to clarify? So this is a state law.
Right.
And the city has a chance to accept the law or do their own variation. And who is the they? You just, if I could go
Okay,
back, who
sorry
is the
about that.
they?
Let me see if I can clarify. First of all, House Bill 2001 has several mandates that the city council has to pass, but it also gives them some leeway. For example, for middle housing, they can either require that there be parking spaces on the property or not. The city council can raise or lower the number of square feet necessary on a lot for middle housing to be built. There's a number of discretionary items they have, and they would be the city council who eventually passes the ordinance. So the other neighborhood, and I think there's some value in it, say, before you pass an ordinance, you need to know who you're applying it to. And without knowing who has restrictive CCNRs and who don't, they don't have that information. Does that help, Elizabeth?
Yeah, it does help, but this is a really complicated issue. I followed
yeah.
it a bit for a year or two. And how can you help all of us? Because I've already followed it for 2 years and I don't get it. How can you help us understand what you're asking us to weigh in on?
Well,
In a bit, I mean, you've done it now, but it's much more complicated.
it is extremely complicated.
How do you help us?
But the simple ask is, ask the city council to have all the information in front of them, including who their ordinance is going to apply to. That's the simple ask. Does that help?
No, I mean, no, because I followed it for a year, not super closely, but I followed it, and yeah, it's really complicated, but appreciate that. I mean, yeah, there's more than just this little piece tonight. If we want to weigh in, we all have to take the, I don't know, commitment to learn a lot more about it before we weigh in, I think. That's all.
Well, okay. I see Joshua next.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I was just wanting to clarify, who is it that's asking us to sign on to this request to the,
There are several neighborhood associations that already have signed. I know that one of them is the South University neighborhood. But I don't know all of them because they haven't shared that with me.
So it's coming through the NLC or what?
Well, the request was sent to the NLC mailing list, yes. But the NLC has not discussed it, at least not recently. Does that help, Joshua?
Yeah.
Sanja Gladney.
Hi, it's Sandra.
Sorry, it's too small to read.
Yeah, no, I understand. Yeah, I have read a little bit, not a lot about this, but I guess I appreciate people asking you clarifying questions because that's been very helpful to me. But I had the impression that the city has a deadline to complete this work to comply with the state. So would any request from us be in a timely manner to make a difference?
The city council the planning commission is working on their recommendations to the city council. They will go to the city council, and you are correct, Sandra. They have to make a decision by June 30th. But I still think they would want to have that information when they make that decision. So it's a tight timeline, but I don't think it would be impossible. And that's their decision to make. We're just making a request.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you. Harry.
Yes. So, this is a hot topic. I actually just received 2 emails today in regards to House Bill 2001. One was from Ted at Jefferson Westside Neighbors. They've been trying to get somebody from Eugene Planning Commission to come and talk to their neighborhood. And the other was from Paul Conti about the lack of clear and objective language in the proposed plan amendment or code amendments. And I think really the heart of the question that John's asking here is that same equity issue that we talked about with Zip-O logs. And what are the neighborhoods that have CCNRs, and how many properties in those neighborhoods do those affect? And where, ostensibly, House Bill 2001 is going to provide us affordable housing, but nothing that we're seeing creates affordable housing. It just creates more housing and more development, but it doesn't ensure affordability. And so if it's the affordable neighborhoods that are going to be built over, and the unaffordable neighborhoods are going to be left alone, that becomes an equity issue. And I think that's what a lot of people in the city are concerned about.
Thank you, Harry. What I can tell you about this, and this is specifically about CCNRs, is in general, it's the newer developments and typically the more expensive developments that have these restricted CCNRs. Gary Reber?
Yeah, I've read through the middle housing, and basically there's no criteria. A developer can come in and put in up to 4, and if you're going to develop a lot, that's what you're going to do. There's no height restrictions. There's no setback restrictions. I mean, if somebody, if somebody comes in on the south side of me and puts in a tall building, just because there's 4 of them, doesn't mean that it's not going to block my solar access to my roof. There needs to be a lot more restrictions on this, and they're not in that bill. And I have a lot of problems with this bill. I see no reason that the state legislature should be dictating to neighborhoods what they should or shouldn't be building. I'd like to point out that when you put in rentals, the rent doubles every 10 years, and nobody's income is probably doubling that fast. So we need a lot more thought into this, rather than just saying, yeah, builder can come in and buy a lot, put in a 4-plex any way he wants.
Thank you, Gary. This is specifically only about the CCNRs. I do need to correct one of the things you're talking about here, Gary. There will be height limits. There will be setbacks. The question is, what will the city choose to use? Lisa Levson.
John, just a logistics question. I just wanted to make sure it was Charles C. Cartwright that we were supposed to send our attendance info to.
Yes, Lisa.
That's all I wanted.
Thank you very much. Joshua.
Yeah, I was just wanting to say, I did hear a discussion about this issue at one point, and I think that the crux of the problem was that if the city doesn't know where the CCNRs are, then they'll just go ahead and approve a project, and the onus is sort of on the anyone that's sort of opposed to the development to sort of figure that out and prove to the city that there's actually a CCNR that is in opposition to that development. And so I think they just want this database to make those decisions easier, right? I mean, is that?
Well, actually, the city has said that CCNRs are a contract and we don't have any responsibility enforcing them. This is about whether the city council has enough information before they adopt the policies that middle housing will apply to, because as Gary points out, do they want to know whether or not they're only applying middle housing to the less older and therefore more likely less expensive housing? It seems to me they would want to know. And right now, they're not going to get that information unless we convince them that they do. Does that cover it for you, Joshua? But you're right. Once the ordinance is passed and middle housing goes into effect, your neighbor may choose to build middle housing or not having any idea whether there's a CCNR in their covenants and in their deed that keeps them from doing it unless someone raises the issue. So I don't see any more hands up. What I would ask again is for folks to, if you are a voting member, raise your hand if you think the board should sign a letter asking the city council to add that. Tell the planning department to let them know where CCNRs apply. So please do that now.
That's your
And
electronic hand, right?
your electronic hand, correct. Dan, can we ask you to fulfill that duty one more time? Tell us how.
How many we got?
Yeah, well, not how many we got. If it's overwhelmingly raised, which is what I seem to see, well, maybe not.
Nope.
And this probably isn't fair of me to ask this of you, is it?
Well, I could screenshot it so that we have a verification.
Okay. I agree. As I look through this, there's a lot more hands that aren't raised than are. So I guess this was an educational
Can we just
session.
let's give it, just for grins and giggles, let's give it 10 more seconds. People, if you want, please click the hand up.
Can you repeat the question, and is everyone voting or just members?
Only members can vote. I apologize about that. But now that you've attended a meeting, you can vote in the future. Assuming you put your name, address, phone
I've
number, and
attended
email. Okay.
meetings in the
You just gave me another opportunity to remind folks.
Is there some specific text we're supporting here, or just like a general thing?
There is a letter and I could put it up, but there's not enough people who are supporting it, Joshua. We'll just let it go.
I'm at 37.
Okay, out of 134. Of course, not all are members.
Yeah, how many of that 134 are voting members, John?
That will take a while to determine.
Can we just get a nays raise their hand and see the contrast?
That's a good idea. Everybody who voted yes, lower your hand and then raise it again if you're a nay.
And I don't mean to help you out here or anything, but yeah, on the reactions tab down below, there is both a green check and a red box. Green for yes, red for no. And that would allow folks to say yes or no to any particular item that we wanted to do.
Wow, that makes perfect sense. So one more time, thank you, Dan. That's a much better way to go. For those of you that are voting members, please put a green check if you support us asking the city council to find out where CCNRs are, and a green check if you think we shouldn't ask that question.
No.
A red
So
check.
where
You said.
green
check
check if
sends
you
the
think
letter.
we should, yes.
Red check says don't send a letter.
And that
Simply to ask the city
To ask
council.
the city council, yes.
I'd like to see the letter, frankly, just to see what we're signing on to.
I can do that.
Yes, that'd be helpful.
Pretty big, it's hard to know.
Yeah, this is too much information.
I didn't make a suggestion, John. Oh,
Sure.
yeah, you had the letter already made. Oh, you have a draft. Never mind. Apologies. I have to start stepping out here.
You want to read it to us?
If you'd like.
Oops,
Dear
sorry.
Eugene City Council members, on behalf of our client Neighbors for Equitable Planning, I don't know which neighborhoods are there. We hereby submit the following comments identifying a potential issue with proposed middle housing code changes and requesting an additional evaluation of the impacts of the proposed changes. Please include this letter in the record of these proceedings. That's all boilerplate. The Eugene, here we go. Let me cut to the meat.
John, could you ask someone to mute, please? We can't.
I
hear.
have several times, but could you please mute if you are not muted? We request the city council allocate staff resources to conduct a thorough and public assessment of CCNRs throughout the city in order to determine which areas of the city will actually be impacted by the middle housing amendments proposed. To our knowledge, no such effort has been undertaken to date. Without such an analysis, it will be impossible for the council, neighborhood associations, and the public in general to accurately gauge the extent to which the proposed amendments will actually move the city towards equity and affordable housing for all of its Eugene residents. And then it's signed by the lawyer who prepared the letter. Does that take care of does that explain it,
John?
Eddie? Okay, let me go back and take a look at where we are with yeses and nos. And now I can't find. How hard can this be?
So John, if you go to the participants tab and scroll up and down.
Well, my problem is the whole line is missing.
I don't.
Dan, could you give me an idea what those numbers are?
Yes.
Stop sharing your screen, John. Then you
Oh,
can
that's
see it.
right. That's what's doing it. Thank you. Except I don't know. There we go.
35 yays. I don't have any red checks.
Okay, we'll take that to the board and deal with it as a decision by the board reflecting this support or opposition.
Okay.
And that's the end of the agenda.
I have an announcement, which is that one reason why we're starting the year with people signing in with their information is that we have a board election coming up in March. So today and next month are your deadlines for having attended a meeting and registered so that we know that you attended a meeting before the board election. And so we hope that this is not the last time we're going to see you, that you're going to show up in future meetings to have these great conversations and to vote and bring your own your other neighbors along. And we also hope that you, if you're not already subscribed to the e-news, which comes out only once a month, that you do that. And somewhere in the chat, I'm trying to find it right now, is both a link to the e-news subscription and a link to an application to be on the slate for a candidate for the board. But lacking that, you can send us an email and let us know. We'll follow up that way.
So I just want to say, amazing the number of people who are here, and there's still 121 folks still here. So thank you so much for attending. It had given us some logistic issues to iron out with this many people, but thanks for putting up with that.
John, Eva has her hand raised.
I just want to know, did it pass? I couldn't understand. Are we sending the letter to the city?
Well, the number of people who voted green was 35 and the number who voted red was 0.
Oh, okay.
So we will take that to the board and act accordingly.
All right.
Is that
we're
correct,
ready.
Dan?
Yes.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, John and Claire and all the other board who does so much work and then has to deal with 150 people coming unexpectedly to a meeting.
It's
Great.
a nice
Awesome.
problem to have, Betty.
Yeah, really, we should have such problems.
Could you
Thank you,
record the
everybody.
chat? John, could you record the chat?
I did, thank you.
But it should
Yes.
get it. Use the chat should get it.
And Charles, you need to record the chat also.
Okay, take us out, Claire.
Okay. Any final comments that it takes 1 minute or less?
Yes.
Go ahead,
I do.
Charlie.
I just want to thank everyone who signed in on the chat. It's an amazing effort. There was no way I could read everything, but I will very, very carefully. And I'm just amazed at how people responded. So thank you very much.
Yep.
Okay.
Claire, I'd just like to reiterate what everybody has said. Thanks so much to everybody turning out. And so many public meetings are held as webinars where the chat is locked down. And I think it's really valuable that we were able to hear from all our neighbors and still maintain order and stick to the schedule. So thanks to everybody and have a wonderful night.
Okay.
And I just want to say hi, Claire and John, and haven't seen you in like 2 years, but
Yeah, it's great to see you,
Hi.
Carrie. Great to see you. So we can leave the meeting open for another 4 minutes. If you just want to say hi to your buddies or whatever, that's good too.
Or you can leave if you wish.
Yeah, or you can go too.